So what could this project manager have done to prevent all of that? Could he have established control? Maybe surveyed in a plane, even if it's not flat, at least it's a plane, so that they begin to erect on a plane? Could he have asked the engineer and the detailing group for some critical dimensions that have to be maintained so that we don't tighten it down until we get those dimensions checked and make sure they're maintained? Is that all possible? Okay. Let me show you another project. And there are, oh my gosh, there are so many other ways. This operation could have been done in 25% of the time that it was done, without a lot of additional effort, given a lot of the things that are noted on your sheet there. Okay, let's go to this one. This is a solar field. Okay, we're talking acres here, many, many acres. And we're talking, I think it's 250 megawatt solar power plant. And between these columns are going to be located parabolic mirrors that rotate with the sun. Those are the mirrors, boxes. And here's the setup to assemble the mirrors. Okay? Fixtures that enable the brackets to be placed and held in correct dimensions. They snap in and signal when they're in the right position. And we're going to manually take and load these parabolic mirrors down and attach them to each of these brackets. And that's what it looks like from the inside. On top of these columns here on the inside is going to be mounted a pipe that actually carries, it's a glass covered pipe that carries the oil, which the parabolic mirrors focus the sun's radiant light onto, and is absorbed into the oil that becomes the heat transfer mechanism into the turbine and the power plant. Okay? So we have many, many of these to be done. All the setup planning is done beforehand and designed so that we can get the setup ready to go and reduce the cycle times and all kinds of analysis, even to the location of where the truck comes in and has to park on the floor so we can pick it up with a crane and set it on the special fixtures that we have created to be able to set the thing in place on the truck and transport it to the field so we can install it over the top of those columns. All kinds of brackets and thought given to, okay, what are we going to do to reduce the cost of all of this setup and assembly? Okay, you can kind of see the system in place. Anyway, this is the modifications that we did to the track excavator that would pick this large pre-assembly up and set it up into place on the facility. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do, let me okay. One of the things that you have to do when you begin the process of improving any contractor is you got to collect the lessons learned that the people know and not let them fritter away. Okay? And you need to develop a constructability database with that kind of information. Now, this is one that I developed for Kellogg Brown and Root for their worldwide operations. And basically what it amounts to is that it's all organized by general project issues and all kinds of things that, from interviewing project team members in many parts of the world, wherever they do work, we came up with lessons learned that would enhance project design. Now, you remember those big rolls that I put out in the front of the class the other day, okay? From that database of lessons learned, you have to build your standards. What applies to what systems, when people need them, in what sequence do they need them? You have to build that in and communicate to the people what they need to be considering so that they design it well the first time. I mean, if you're going to do this kind of thing, there has to be a coordination between the engineering and the procurement and the construction, or you're going to leave a whole lot of money on the table. Okay? I mean, we're talking millions of dollars, and hundreds of millions, and billions of dollars of savings here that I've already been participating with teams in saving. I mean, increases that are just phenomenal. I mean, this gets kind of fun, you know, when sales are expected to increase by $600 million a year. So you got to get the lessons learned first, and then you got to build them into the standards, okay? And then you've got to use those standards in planning, pre-planning what you're doing, so that you can go about the process of figuring out how to do it cheaper and easier. Now, obviously, if you've got 12, 14 conveyors to put in place, you're not going to do the same thing that you're going to do if you've got 10,000 mirrors to put in place, right? Okay, the level that you're going to go to is going to be different. The fixturing is going to be different. But there's still a whole lot of money, a big pile of money that's being wasted when we don't take advantage of understanding and bringing our teams together and saying, okay, what are the good aspects of what we're doing? What things do we need to change? What difference would it make? Okay? And putting those ideas into action, task after task after task on projects. Okay, so what I want you to do right now, I have asked you to read the chapter on fitness, and your homework assignment for Monday should reflect, that essay should reflect that you have thoroughly read that chapter. I'm going to read every single one of those essays. So read the chapter and make sure you build into your response a clear indication that you understand what's been written in that chapter. Because this is the basis for it. This is the way, the foundation, these systems happen or don't happen because of relationships, of credibility and trust in mutual benefit. Otherwise, people don't care and they don't improve a darn thing. Okay? So the foundation of everything, the motivation, is the trust. Okay, so in the end, oops. And don't miss the references either. There's a lot of good stuff in the references. I want you to get together in your teams, and I want you to consider this statement right here. Okay, this one right here. Okay? Traditional project teams leave too much to chance. When something can go wrong, if left to chance, the full impact, the disorganizing impact on dependent plans, even loss of confidence in plans and planning, versus the cost of prevention, for example, mistake proofing. That's just one of the disciplines listed on your sheet here. A whole discipline is associated with how do we prevent mistakes from happening. Okay? There's a whole discipline of there are professors that do nothing but that in industrial engineering and write books and teach courses on how to prevent errors from occurring. We're out here scrabbling the top of a concrete wall because we built it too high. And we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, there's some more rework we got to do. What we should be saying is, how did we let that happen? And how do we prevent it from ever happening again? We got to get after it because we're just losing way too much money. Okay, so those things need to be carefully weighed. The cost of prevention versus the cost that it takes us to rework the project. This will justify much more effort in preventing the possibility of chance disorganizing project plans and degrading performance results. Chance may disorganize, even discourage efforts to improve. Okay? So that's what I want you to talk about. So pull your teams together. Let's split it up again. This looks pretty good. And you need to go over on this side. Okay? And then get together in your groups and talk about examples of where you let something go to chance. What could have been done to prevent it? Okay? I'll have you give reports on that next week.
I don't even know. Yeah. You set the teams so they cover everything. I think I I'm supposed to go print my you're gonna figure out. No, nobody answered. Literally, I have no problem getting a PDF. They already gave me a PDF 302. Give me another one. 321. What if I trust? What if I have trust issues and I don't feel comfortable writing? This is leaving trust issues, but I have zero trust issues.
Start by talking about anything that you work on your projects. Or where you saw that something could be done better. What was it? We're going to do it
They said, 10 is like the information.
You save the 40% that we're wasting on projects. When it was supposed to go in, it went in, just like it was supposed to. First time, every time.
Why did everyone keep saying that? It was saying, no, my book was like $40. I bought the book for this class. Yeah, I don't know. I bought a literacy book and like that one was like 6 I looked them up. Literally, the book was like $270. I'm glad I know it, but I told you. In the workforce, in life, I trust this guy. It didn't work out. Yeah, like here we go. I feel like when you mess, like when you mess up,
focus. Oh my God.
I was coming to Purdue chance for that class. I literally did zero research and just accepted my offer on this day. Wow, really? First day here with my style. I was like, shit. 4 years I applied for it. It worked out. got those, so I guess I was that's a chance. It's definitely not. Really? Yeah. I know a lot of people. I know it's really Well, I literally knew nothing about Purdue and literally thought, like, I'm not public school, this is my background. Clearly here, and like, it is sure is not so hard. Anybody that ever says, oh, my back school day, don't be cool. The amount of breakdowns everyone has at this school. That's right. She can make it share. What has it done to, I guess it's providing more skills.
I'm mad. Today I am.
Alright, my turn.
Wash your match with the wool. That's good.
It's like
Oh, look at the back of it has these little bumps, and then the bumps will fill in.
That's all I have after the fact. Let us know. I gotta talk about it.
Not like in person, just like.
Okay, well, you get one.
that's like all I have.
Okay, so we'll do that, we'll talk about it.
And then they
With the one that,
I know, so you,
the sickness, because we have that documentation.
Our
The other
we
one,
basically just used like torture.
you have documentation.
That's what I've seen.
Just didn't
I
send
have
us.
other emails, but like no other dates.
Did we videotape that? Okay, so did you watch the video?
Check their office.
it's gonna be weird.
Like
So I think what we ought to do, we didn't lose anything because we failed to collect I mean, the big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I have their
We have
offer.
that in the back. So,
Sure.
the only issue then is making sure that you video, that you watch the video. Why don't you just go write a couple of paragraphs of what you learned from the incident. That's